It's a new month. It's January, so it's time for the month ahead. But hey, it's a new year too. And if you're wondering where is the year ahead for 2025, that's going to be just in a couple of weeks. So make sure you subscribe and check notifications, and you'll be notified later this month when the year ahead video comes out. But in the meanwhile, January is underway as we speak. Traditionally, quite a quiet month around here, and let's see what we can expect, starting with what we can expect going on in the country for the month of January. And for the most part, it looks like we're starting on quite a positive note, astrologically speaking. Gently but surely, it looks like the government is in quite a strong or stable position. By gently, I mean it doesn't mean we're necessarily going to see some great big developments or important announcements or any of those kind of things. But it does mean that it's getting into a position where we can look forward to some ground being gained in terms of the battles or the disagreements between the partners in the GNU, and we can perhaps see some progress in various departments and various policies because of that. As I say, it's going to probably take a few more months to really see that progress. And right now, it's just a gentle, everyone's getting back onto the same page. Perhaps that's behind the scenes and we're not seeing that, but that's what your astrologer is here to tell you, what you're not seeing. So that does sound good, and it's good internally for us in terms of confidence, in terms of the South Africans actually feeling that their government is going somewhere. It doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the world is seeing us the same way. And there are definitely some issues to do either with our image in the world or more significantly, policy, president, action, those kinds of things. So there's some sign that that's not entirely being appreciated. But in this quiet month of January with quiet stuff going on in the chart, we don't necessarily see great shakes about that. I mean, South Africa isn't necessarily the most important thing in the international press and certainly in the world right now. So that remains for us to be a little bit concerned about. But more important is that we're doing well locally and in terms of local perceptions. That is what is important right now. It's not entirely rosy in that GNU, and there's still, as we know, there's forever a kind of ongoing dispute between the DA and the ANC, who are widely divergent parties in that coalition. And this one at the moment seems to be about spending. So while there are other issues that larger disagreements have either been a little bit resolved or have been kind of left in a stasis, and meanwhile progress still goes forward. In terms of spending, the DA are probably going to be much more open about this and critical of the ANC in terms of government spending and getting that more onto the page in terms of what the DA and other non-ANC ministers have been trying to do in terms of new brooms sweeping clean and perhaps showing up the ANC in their efforts to improve their departments and cut spending. We probably will see some ANC response to that in the sense of trying to do exactly the same thing and perhaps get seen in the same kind of beneficial way that those newer in government parties have been doing. Despite that, and despite that being in the charts once again, in our typical way, not all of that is out in the open. And even though those newer parties in the GNU have been making efforts to expose the old rot in those departments, and we've seen plenty of that actually happening. Unfortunately, there's plenty that we don't see about that old rot, perhaps plenty that they don't even find. So that story is not quite over yet. We're not getting all the information. Needless to say, though, other members of the government than the ANC will be going on at the government and dealing with matters of uh, spending and wasteful expenditure, which wasteful spending seems to be an issue here. But on the whole, certainly it looks like that issue or the issue of spending is taken better control of. In a nutshell, there's quite a process of transformation happening in government spending. And perhaps we'll even see those other parties holding the government up to endless years of promises of tightening belts and cutting down and all of those kinds of things. We've seen actually some of that recently happening in Johannesburg City, and perhaps we'll see more of the same in the rest of the country as it looks like, as I said, transformations in government spending and improvements with regards to government spending, which is beneficial for us all, as is positive developments in service delivery. Are we seeing new broom sweep clean? In January, when I drive around Cape Town, I see hundreds of joggers, and they're not there in February through December. And then in January, they reappear. And everyone's got New Year's resolutions and getting their fitness on track and all of those great things. And, we might be seeing some of that going on with government, not entirely necessarily because it's January. It's still part of this GNU trying to find its feet, getting on for a year later. But as I've said, is kind of finding its feet more as we go into 2025. So perhaps that's also why we're seeing some service delivery and some improvement in that all round, and perhaps even some improvement in the terrible situation regarding the Zamazamas, the so-called Zamazamas, the illegal miners who, have been conflicting with government and police, and there are all sorts of humanitarian issues involved in that situation. And perhaps we are actually going to see some improvement in that regard. It could be the government being forced to provide them with food, which at least will lead to some kind of improvement in the humanitarian side of that story. Mr. Government himself, the President Cyril Ramaphosa, is perhaps flying a little bit under the radar in terms of his actions and things like that. It doesn't mean we won't be seeing much of him, although it doesn't take an astrologer to tell you we won't be seeing too much of him. In fact, though, astrologically, he does look quite visible, but that might be more on the international scene. He's still making important connections, deals, appearances, whatever they may be. Perhaps we're not seeing that much of him because he's in another country. But he's kind of sailing along happily, doing his thing without us seeing very much of that. Very scorpionic, keeping his cards close to his chest. But the issue with regards to that, as illustrated by the astrological chart, is that there are matters arising out of clinging to old issues stubbornly. And that's the only real mention of a problem in this regard. That could be part of the reason why government will be losing some court cases, not new, in these coming months as well. He's perhaps stuck on some old ideas or old policies or something like that. But for the most part, as we've seen, locally, the perception and the process is going well, and that's not going to be too serious in terms of whatever Cyril's cards might be that are close to his chest. More openly are things like benefits happening in the sporting arena. It looks like we're going to do well in the cricket this week if you are still in this first week of January, and that perhaps other sporting fixtures will also do well, and we might see important or much loved foreign entertainers. The entertainment scene, the sporting scene, the Gayton Mackenzie department is looking very good, even though he has been quite quiet for a while. Perhaps we're going to see a resurgence of Gayton getting involved in trying to improve those as part of this resurgence of new broom sweeping clean thing that's happening once again in the early months of this year. There are still some problems in the arena of trade. We might get to know about those problems, but it looks like our trading partners are undergoing some change, some new trading partners on the scene and some unexpected trading partners on the scene. Might not hit the news because news prefers drama and crisis and all of that. But that's good to know that that is still a growing area in our lives. And then we have the official opposition, who, as we know these days, is Jacob Zuma's MK party. And it looks like they are the ones who are seeking connections in foreign shores. It could be their old dusty allies, the Russians, um, well, I guess the Chinese, other communist parties as well, although the Chinese are well connected with the ANC, the ruling party. But it looks like they're seeking out people. Maybe they won't get the Chinese, but they're looking for input, money, those kind of things in foreign places. Also, not surprising at all, we see court failures and legal problems for MK Party. That is an ongoing issue, but it does seem quite explicit in the month of January. Some kind of significant court action failure. But as I said, really just add that to the list. So no major shakes. And in that sense, it's sounding like a typical early year kind of chart. No major shakes going on, stabilization happening in the background. We're not seeing financial improvement for a little while. And probably the world is waiting once Donald Trump is inaugurated and his policies are in place and whatever shakeups that first happen because of that, then we can see more stabilization of the dollar and of international markets. And perhaps South Africa's financial chart will start looking a little bit better after that. But in the meanwhile, let's all just have a quiet and beautiful January to start the year. Not too much happening, politically speaking, is usually a good sign. And I look forward to telling you more in the year ahead in a couple of weeks. Like I said, be sure to be subscribed to catch that. Aries, it looks like a confident start to the year for you. You're feeling strong about what's going on in your life. You've got your goals all lined up. Things are working well. And it looks like you're like in a financially good situation at the moment, which is great. But that does look like it's going to lead to a bit of extra spending. So that's the part that you need to take care of. But it's not really shown as a major problem. This is, in fact, a good time to indulge yourself a little bit. So don't be too shy on the spending. It's showing that this is a great time to spend your money, your time, your efforts on things that you love, something that we don't always do so often, especially Aries, you might be fun loving, but you're also ambitious and a little bit driven, and sometimes don't really take the time to stop, smell the roses, enjoy yourself, etc. This is the time that you could be doing that while everyone else has been doing that all of the last month. You're still there. It does also look like, in terms of your more personal goals, apart from the professional ones, which do seem to be on track at the moment, but personal goals, that's relationships, that's hobbies, that's even some of those New Year's resolutions, if you have them, things that you want to do for yourself this year. That's also looking like it's a go ahead month for you. So, Aries, just go for it. Taurus, what better way to start the year by making some shaken changes? Shake it all up. Your little world, everything around you. You don't have to make big changes at this time. You don't have to do big shakes. But this is the time when shaking up all the small stuff is going to make the big difference. If you want a different kind of vibe for 2025, then this is the time that you can establish that by just making small changes and let them mushroom into the bigger ones as the rest of the year goes by. It's the safest and the easiest way to make changes because it's very little risk at this time. It really means that to effect big changes in your life, setting up a few things differently in January is what's going to make all the difference. That is also true about your financial life, and it is also time to take a look at earnings. If you're self employed, you should be charging more, something like that, making sure you're getting what you deserve in your employed situation. This is a year when you'll be able to improve your financial situation. So it starts with January. And in January, not only the small changes in the rest of your life, but changing what's happening in your financial life, how you're spending, all of that It's a strategic month for you, Taurus. Get January right by just adjusting everything, and the rest follows from here. Geminis, you need to sort out your domestic situation so that the year can start on a solid foundation, because it's not looking like a very solid foundation at the moment. It's possible that you still need time to recover from the holiday season. Maybe you're still in the holiday season, because January actually does remain a very good month for travel and exploration and adventure for you. So if you still got the opportunity, if you didn't yet take up the opportunity to get a break at the end of last year, this is still your time to do that. Great month for travel, Gemini. But if you do need to get the show on the road, that travel energy is something that's very unstable for staying at home in a good place if you want to get your year on the go. So sort out domestic matters, sort out the space, and everything will work much more easily from there. This is also a good time to seek and acquire new information, Gemini. So you might need new input on existing projects, work, etc. It might be some time for some new information in, but there's a lot that you have to learn. It's a learning month for you as well. So this is a time to establish the foundation domestically, then knuckle down, bring in the new information, new studies, whatever the case may be, that sets you off for a great year. And Syrians seem to be in a bit of a struggle between still not finished with my good time and I need to get cracking. And other areas of your life where you might feel a little bit torn between I need to do this, but I want to do that, or this is easy, I need to take a harder path, or everything seems a little bit split into two this month. So important to focus on what do you really want. People talk about things like resolutions for January, which we all know is not something that gets us very far. But it's really better in your case to be asking yourself, what do I really want in my life right now? That's what to concentrate on. And then with that information at hand, clear the clutter from your life, from your space, from your mind, from all of those things, and just try and develop a more single minded approach to that. Part of the problem this month is that you're very focused on other people, you're helping them, you're sorting them out. There's all these things going on with other people when actually, at any time, but certainly in January, you need to be the priority in your own life. So that's what you actually should be concentrating on. It's all about you for once. This is the time to make that happen. So the rest of the year, you can worry about everyone else. Sort out those things that are niggling at you. Clear your space. Focus on one thing. That's going to settle everything. Leos, you could be taking a little bit of a strain energy wise. That could mean you've just been doing too much in the last couple of months, or putting yourself into stressful situations or something like that. But there's a kind of a bit of an overload going on in your chart. It's not serious, but it is a great excuse to take a break and have a bit of a holiday, especially since it's not as if it's going to be a quiet month. There's a lot that you have to get done, and there's a lot that you can and will get done. The stress, the energy depletion, all of that is going to inhibit your goals. It's not a train smash. It just requires a much better balance from you, because the fact is there is a lot that needs to get done. And the fact also is that you can still achieve a lot in the process. So let's say the challenge for you for January is to really sort out how to give your time and energy into what's really important so that you can take advantage of the time to achieve, which you're in now, without depleting yourself, making yourself sick, making yourself stressed or tired, or any of those kind of things. For the most part, though, it's a good month for you. It clears 2025 to have clear goals, clear directions. Just don't tumble into it. It's like, okay, I've got to do all of this. Take a break, take a breath, focus, and January is still a great time to get those achievements. Okay, Virgos, this is a great time to sort out personal life matters. Doesn't mean there's anything that's necessarily been going wrong there, but you should really take advantage of the good, clear space that's going to let you do that. So personal life is mostly your one-to-one relationship or other important one-to-one relationships in your life other than the romantic ones. But then friends and close family, this is all of the time when you're sensitive to what they're about, you're more clear on what you need, and in fact, that might be what you need to pay a little bit more attention to, is being more clear about what's needed for you in the relationship. Certainly, whether within the relationship or of the relationship itself, Virgo shows some letting go requirements in January of 2025. It's time to let go of some stuff, either old problems, grudges, irritations with your partner. Sometimes it's about letting go of a relationship itself, but it doesn't mean just, oh, you have to end a relationship now. You would know what this is referring to. You would know who this is referring to because it's something that you carry from your past. It's issues that have been there for a long time, things that you already know about. So this is a great opportunity to either sort it out or drop it in terms of at least what those issues are. And then this is also then a great time where you can build on your relationships and make sure that going forward and starting with January, you look like you're on a much more solid ground relationship-wise. Librans are usually most interested in your personal relationships, your romantic relationships. Your chart this month is most interested in your friendships. It looks like there's really a lot to gain from the social circle, the people that you love around you, the people that are important to you. So this is a great time to make sure you're spending more time with people that are important in your life. Balance your time correctly. Don't juggle. Don't assume it must all be work or whatever the case may be. It's your social group that's going to give a lot of joy. In terms of professional life or other aspects of your life, other groups might also be important. Generally speaking, not just the social group, but other groups in your life also look like a source of great input or important resources, or it looks like there's people in your environment who can stabilize a lot of your goals. So that means draw on people who've got skills, talents, or resources that you need and that you know that can help you. This can have a lasting effect in your life at the moment. You might be kind of wasting a lot of energy on people that are not really gainful to you. Those are often family members that the chart is talking about. But for the most part, people are your resource this month. January makes that resource a foundation. Scorpios, also folks for whom the party has not quite ended. It does look like this is still a month of doing your thing, doing things you love, having fun, even getting away if you can. So this is the time to extend your holiday period as much as possible. Doesn't mean you're entirely off the hook because you can also take advantage of this good time to use your own skills and your own talents to advance one of your goals. It looks like it's almost like there's a lucky break. There's something easy going on for you at this time. And if you take advantage of it, you might benefit yourself for months ahead. So it's a little bit of a challenge that it's a great time to have fun and there's lots of opportunities to do lovely, fun things. And you should take those up, but you mustn't get your eye off the ball. You must make sure that you also take advantage of opportunities to use skills and talents. Skills and talents might also come into play for other people. This is also a time where you can find your niche or use your niche and benefit from something that comes naturally to you that other people really value as a skill and that you can offer perhaps at a great price. So this is a really good time to make your stuff the sign of your success. Sagittarius, this is the time to hit the ground running, and that is probably the very last thing you feel like doing right now. You feel torn between work and home, or like work and having a good time. Never been one to put having a good time second, and so you're probably not going to do that right now either. But this is a really good time to be pursuing those goals. The real Sagittarian problem is what's rearing its head. You have too many things on your plate, or even if it's only two things that are pulling you in completely different directions, and you need to resolve that. There isn't one answer that fits everyone, even though goals seem to be the best thing in your chart at the moment, the things that will produce the most rewards. It could very well be that matters at home, personal life, fun life, all of those things could be particularly important for you. But the point is, you're going to have to make a bit of a choice. You need to point yourself in one direction and go in that direction in the month of January and try and bring all the Sagittarian rushing around in 100 directions under control, because it's everywhere all over your chart. So it's like, maybe I need to say, it's time to realize January has arrived and the party is probably over. So time to get the show on the road. Capricorns, you can be so accustomed to thinking in the long term and working in the long term that you might be neglecting an opportunity to refresh some of your goals. So this is the time, January being your month especially, is really time to establish some new goals and establish more reasons why you're doing what you're doing. Capricorns are creatures of habit, and there's a lot of momentum behind some of the stuff that you're doing. Sometimes it's just a sense of obligation, habit, all of those things that, despite everything else, despite being goal oriented and successful, generally speaking, you might not really have thought it all through, and you might not be realizing you haven't been thinking about it for a while. You're just going with the flow of those obligations and those habits, etc. So, in your task for January, as you start your personal new year, being your birthday month, this then is the time to really think about, why am I doing this? Why am I doing that? Do I still need to be doing that? And sort out what is really important to you. Capricorn birthday time is perfect to set new ideals, bigger reasons, and important reasons important to you about what it is that you're doing. And that'll help you identify the dross and the stuff that's just old habits and wrap those up as quickly as you can. Aquarius, while others might be getting themselves going or struggling to get themselves going, you're not quite ready for that yet. And it's probably not even time to get yourself going just yet. Your birthday is a month away, and this is the perfect opportunity to just retreat a little bit and wrap up the old, complete things that have been going on last year or these last few months. Also kind of clear your space of the people, the things, and whatever's been going on in your life in preparation for this birthday ahead. It has been a time of lots of stuff getting done in the last months of last year. And now's the time to really just chill. Even if you manage to do so in December, well, it goes on for you. It's not just lying around though and chilling. It's really a time for reflection and looking at your spiritual goals, which need a little bit of a revision. So it might also mean this is your month for deep, long, hard look at yourself, which is not always fun, always pleasant, although you're the kind that can handle that. But really a time to establish some new spiritual and psychological foundations for yourself in anticipation of a whole new year that begins with your birthday. So retreat at home, retreat with yourself, get your spiritual and inner life back in order before the year rushes off next. Pisces, it looks like January starts the year for you on a solid note. So there could be some plans or things which are waiting in the wings that could go into action right now. So first thing about January for you is get plans into action ASAP. Perhaps more importantly, in some area of your life, you need to early on establish your position, establish yourself there, or establish your authority of some kind. But this is the time where you need to make it clear, this is who I am, and this is what's happening here. This is most likely to be your professional life, but this can also be true for other areas of your life. You're starting on a strong note, you need to make that real. So you need to actually show it in areas everywhere in your life. Pisceans famously might feel a whole bunch of stuff inside, but you're not necessarily showing it on the outside. And this is the time that you do need to do that, because it's going to stand you instead for the rest of the year. So it's like, here I am, world, take it or leave it, I'm coming, or else, even if it's not that kind of a situation, simply clarifying for yourself and others, this is what's going on, this is me doing my job or doing my thing or being me, and we proceed from there. That's going to make it a really good year for you. Well, remember, I'll be back later in this month with the year ahead for 2025. Subscribe, notify, and I'll see you there.